Oh, the user interface. If you spent any time in the Isle at all, you know how important the small amount of information you get from the interface can be for your overall survival. In deciding to take on the challenge of playing without that information, though, I made 2 separate attempts. You have only seen my second attempt. This was the first. The rules of the challenge, as lined out, remain the same. No UI aside from when first logging in, no checking the character tab aside from adding mutations, and survive to adulthood. When I first came up with the idea of this challenge, I wanted it to be as difficult as possible, while still being interesting. So I ran through the roster in my head. Herbivores were immediately out, as they can simply eat grass as needed, and plants are easily found. The carnivore roster is fairly small, all things considered, and 2 of them can eat infinitely without vomiting. Of the remaining 4, Herrera's stamina consumption is a nightmare in general, and Trudon is so small it's nearly impossible to recognize the body score. That left Carno and Raptor. Ultimately, I chose Carno because it is fairly viable solo, and also it has high food drain and an incredibly tiny blood pool, which I hoped would keep me on my toes throughout the run. Out the gate, I chose epidermal fibrosis for my Carno, knowing that bleed would probably be one of my biggest enemies. Next order of business was, of course, to find my first meal, which was surprisingly easy. I had spawned east, that much was clear, and the area was filled with goats, boars, and deer, and apparently other carnos. I opted to avoid them, though. Much of my early life was spent hiding away in the forest, eating AI which was plentiful, and drinking at the eastern swamp lake. Eventually, though, knowing I needed to move on, I began to use what I deemed my sound compass to start making my way west. The sound compass was, of course, the distant screams of other players. Didn't matter how far away they were, most noise comes from the hotspots, and that's where I knew I needed to be to find more food and action. The only problem with using sound to navigate, though, is the prevalence of rain. Rainstorms were probably the most frustrating part of my growth, as I was already limited to only my ability to see and hear. With the rain, I could only see a limited amount, and I couldn't hear anything. Not food, not distant dinosaurs. I was isolated. Once I hit Delta, though, I knew exactly where I was going. This area is familiar to me. I pass through it often, hopeful to find herbivores, or even other carnivores with the same idea. Today, though, all was quiet aside from more AI. That was alright. I was still quite young. Body score is the only way to really gauge how hungry or full I was. So with each bite of food, I examined my hips and sides. Eating AI as a carno, though, I wasn't too worried about overdoing it. I had a large stomach capacity, even at a young age. As I moved along in the area, I checked for my second mutation. Naturally, I chose photosynthetic tissue for more speed. Can never go wrong with the ability to create distance as needed on Carno, which allows for more opportunities to charge even the quick and agile raptors, and the quick and absolutely not agile Dilos. With water and food consumed, I moved up the path and logged out for the day. Upon my return, I got my initial status check before shutting off the UI and trying to remember where on Earth I was. It took a long moment of looking and listening to remember. Ah, the trail between Highlands and Delta. The mountains themselves told me which direction I needed to go from there to continue southward, and I set off once more. As I was not nearly grown, I opted to go to West Rail instead of to the largest hotspot of South. I thought I might have more luck finding something more easily hunted there. Unfortunately, the darkness fell, and so did the rain. Visibility was negligible, but I did spot something fighting in the distance. A Serato hunting a Diablo that was being protected by a Stego. I didn't intend to get involved, but this would be opportunity for scavenging. I watched from a safe distance, trusting the darkness and the storm to keep me safely hidden. Something had been killed. I wasn't sure what it was at this distance. As the Stego moved away, I approached the carnage. The Diablo had been killed, but so had a Serato. Perfect. This would hold me over and keep me well nourished for a while. By mid-morning, I made my way to West Access. This area is often either quiet and plentiful with AI, or chaotic and filled with dangers. Today, it was very plentiful with AI, but also a Serato on the hill. Here's the thing with Serato against Carno. It's a pretty messy matchup for the Carno, but even more so when the Carno isn't fully grown. It's doable, of course, but only with extreme caution, and, at least at my size, a nearly flawless execution. I was bored of hunting AI and hungry though, so I figured, why not? My first charge went perfectly. We didn't trade attacks. But it was all downhill from there. My next charge, though longer and hitting it on the tail, resulted in me taking a charge bite. I had vomited. Now I was in trouble. Being low food and water makes you bleed more heavily, and bleeding more heavily as a Carno is an incredibly dangerous thing. I'd taken more hits than I hoped. This was a losing battle, and I needed to go. I wasn't worried though, even as I was running away. Because, you know, the screen starts to fade out to black, and your heart starts pounding in your ears when you are close to bleeding out. As long as I lost him in the forest before that point, I'd be okay. Turns out that the fading to black thing, though, is part of the UI. Well, new fear unlocked. Round 2. I won't bore you with much of the early existence stuff, but I spawned in water access below the dam, ran through the section of highlands between the two lakes, found some AI, and got to growing again. When it came time for a drink, I set off down to water access, the safer of the two lakes to drink from. On the way there, though, I heard running footsteps. Young Dibble. When you're a Carno, you know that you should never pass up the opportunity for a meal. Food drains too quickly, especially while young, and passing up a good meal in times of plenty may result in starvation during times of famine. I started out testing him. I needed to know what kind of Dibble player this was. He was awkwardly laggy and sliding around. These are known bugs with their sparring mode, though. Very common, unfortunately. I had taken a lot of hits, and I was growing more nervous by the minute. If the dibble didn't drop soon, I was absolutely sure that I would. With slightly more careful movement, I finally managed to take him down. Perfect. A proper meal. I'd be growing much more quickly with good diets. I'd be back to a big carno in no time at all. Well, technically like 2 more hours, but who's counting? A dilo appeared while I was eating. I was already worried about my overall health and blood pool, so him taking a nibble didn't exactly do me any favors. I decided that it wasn't worth it to try and fight for the dibble carcass. Survival was more important, especially when I didn't know exactly how much damage I could take in a fight. I continued on to water access, leaving the dilos to eat the scraps. After grabbing a drink, I went and hid away to start healing before logging out for the day. I returned to a pretty hefty blood screen. But also my second mutation. Awesome. After my previous experience, though, I was traumatized from bleeding out, but not knowing it was happening until too late. So instead of photosynthetic tissue, I picked traumatic thrombosis. As long as I was able to escape or finish a fight and lay down, I would never bleed out again. Also, I did have to laugh when I spotted enhanced digestion in my list. Apparently, my nutrition hadn't been as bad before the dibble as I had imagined. Once healed up, I made my way toward West Rail. I am not one to stay in one place for very long. Sitting to heal is about as long as I can stay still. I enjoy the feeling of being constantly on the move. Of course, it was raining again, and I was looking incredibly thin after spending so much time healing. I needed food. I want to check and see if there's anybody at the water, because I want to fight something. I'm tired of hunting nothing but AI, but I haven't found anything that I can actually fight as a solo carno. Oh look, a boar. Thankfully, boars were plentiful in the area. I wasn't going to starve, that was for sure.
La 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 la. Gotcha. Yeehaw.
Oh, I wasn't still charging. Lame.
Oh, the morning. I can sort of see.
I don't know that I'm actually hungry enough to eat 3 pigs. I'm looking at my hips and trying to determine how hippie I am. I'm still pretty hippie. I don't look like a chunky carno yet. Yeah, I'm still fairly hippie. See, that's the thing. It's like, how hungry am I? I don't look as wrinkly anymore, so we're going to hope. But like, I can still see my spine protruding by my hips. And my hips are still protruding from my side there. As I wandered toward West Access, having found very little by way of actual players to hunt, I got jumped by a pair of raptors. Oh my goodness, bro! Whoa, there's two! Nope. Nope, no, get off. No, you don't! We ain't doing that. I'm bleeding now, they just put a rend into me. Oh, they're on me again. Get off! Get off. Get off! Panicking. What the? It canceled my alt attack! Oh crap, this is bad. Look, I was still traumatized from bleeding out before. The absolute last thing that I wanted to deal with was rend-pouncing raptors. Alright, you know what? I see my trees. I'm going to my trees. I'm just gonna slowly trot to my trees, because I'm not an idiot. Mostly. Ah, here we are. My trees. Got him. Got them both. Whew, boy. Alright, we are alive. With both raptors down, I settled in for a nice meal. And the sun comes up like, here you go, have a good morning. Trying to watch my hips. Take a pause. Oh, I ate that entire corpse. Okay, let's move this one so I don't accidentally eat the bones. Since I thought I was eating this one, not that one. I know Carno eats a lot, so I'm going to assume that I can still keep eating, because my hips are still poking out. And then it overestimated how much my hips were still protruded. Well, shoot. Once I was sure my bleed was healing, I went to get a drink while I waited for my vomit sickness to pass. Do a little sippity sip, staring intently at the water, watching for any sign of movement. Upon returning to my kills, though, something small came rushing over. Oh, poodles. No, don't you touch my food! Oops. I killed him. I didn't mean to kill him. I meant to 3-call, not bite. Oh no. Oh, poor guy. Alright, do we think it's been long enough? Let me look at myself starving. Okay. I don't think there's anything in the neck. You can see that little bit of a rib cage-ish. My hip muscle looks, or like my that section of my butt right there looks a little pointy. And I believe my tail also is a little bit indented. Let's hope I'm not still vomit sick. Having gotten very little food from the remaining raptor, and knowing that I was fairly hungry, I spent the next few minutes hunting AI to ensure that I wouldn't starve. I was very close to full grown now. I had to be. As I tried to decide where I wanted to go, though, I heard a raptor bark nearby. If it was alone, I didn't have much to worry about. I see a raptor. I see a raptor. Does he see me? Oh, shoot. Hey, you! Come back here! Come here, boy! 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 Ah, I missed. Come here, boy! Come here! Come here! Come here, boy! Got him! Ha-ha! Couldn't even see him when I hit him. Alright. Now I need stamina. With the raptor down, I checked my growth. Victory. I grabbed my final mutation, photosynthetic tissue, and hung out for a bit to eat the raptor. Now that the challenge was complete, I wanted to get into more trouble and see how long I could survive without the UI turned on. I made my way to South, the notorious hotspot. As I wandered in, I spotted a Serato in the distance. With a long enough charge, I could knock him flat. So, like an absolute goober, I started my charge from where I was standing. Only to stop and back off momentarily when he approached a corpse to eat. An eating Serato is immune to stuns on some level, and I didn't want to waste my long charge if it meant I couldn't actually stun him. Yes. Now. I'm gonna miss. That's gonna be so dumb. That's right, boy, run! Run, boy, run! Gotcha! Ha-ha! Oh! No! Gotcha! Oh, no puke! No puke! No puke! No puke! We're not doing that crap. Oh, he's dead! Oh, boy. With the Serato down, shockingly quickly, I sat to wait out my vomit sickness. The other carno nibbled at the organs here and there, but I wasn't concerned. I didn't really need them. When I thought I was healthy again, I went for a bite. Alright, I think my vomit sickness is probably gone. I'm sure it's fine. Casually vomits immediately. I'm gonna go get water. Only to vomit again. Whoops. Much later, after healing up from my vomit sickness, eating and drinking, I was back on the prowl. There was a Serato and a Dibble mix packing nearby, and I wanted to bop the Serato. Of course, with the insanely loud thunderstorm and the darkness, it was difficult to find them again after I had stopped to grab a drink. After slapping a Herrera and sending him leaping off the nearest waterfall, I turned and spotted the Serato. Aha! His Dibble was behind me, having gone to get water. Now was my chance. But he saw me coming and dodged out of the way. I moved back, preparing to long charge him at the next opportunity. I had to worry about the dibble now, though. If I hit that instead, I'd be stunned and take damage. See if I can get him. Bam! Okay, we're gonna move away. He's gonna hide behind the dibble now. I was doing exceptionally well. The Serrato was not even trying to fight back, just hiding behind his friend. With a face charge and several other charges on him already, I was confident in my ability to take him down. And then, on one last charge, I got two-shot by the dibble. Oh. So either I was starving to death, which is incredibly unlikely considering I'd eaten the other Serrato less than 40 minutes earlier, and Carno has a 60-minute hunger timer from full to hitting red on food, then about 10 minutes before dying. Or bro was damage hacking. How disappointing. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and comment your thoughts below. If you're new around here, please consider subscribing for more content like this. Thanks, and I hope to see you again soon.